Well, happy Saturday, everyone. Welcome to Dad, brought to you by the National Parents Union. I'm Tim Langan, father of Matthew, Miles, David, Dylan, and Max, and son of Patty and Jimmy. And thanks for joining us, everyone. Guys, why don't we go around and introduce ourselves, starting with Jose there, filming on location.
Hey everyone, my name is Jose Manuel Villarreal from San Diego, California. I have two sons, Nathan Macario and Noah Manuel. Proud son of my late father, Jose Macario, and my mother, who's still in my house.
Nice.
But glad to have all you. I'm here to be.
Might be fading in out a little bit there, Jose. That's okay though, man.
That's Jose's way of saying he had enough.
That's right. I hear you. Scott, why don't you go ahead, man?
That's beach living at its finest right there.
Yeah. Happy Saturday, everybody.
Like that, right? So I'm Michael Scott, father of this guy, Grayson, and Addison will be jumping in at some point, guaranteed, and son of Bassie and Mershila.
Awesome.
I'm John Monteleone, proud son of Lynette and Joseph Monteleone, and extremely proud father of Antonia and Rochelle Monteleone.
That's great. Well, guys, thanks for jumping on again. Dads don't get weekends off, so I'm glad we're still here. Just before we jumped on this show, I shot you guys an article we talked about that I think really sums up really a lot of what, this show was started because we wanted to give dads some support, some perspective during the COVID crisis, because everything's changing. We're stuck inside, taking care of our kids. We're teachers, not just professionally, but now literally teachers, whether we want to be or not. And the article in the New York Times talked about, has the pandemic changed fatherhood? And is it going to last? And I think of all the ways that this pandemic has made me look at fatherhood, because I'm in the home, working from home, spending more times with my kid than I probably have since they've been born. And I'd love to hear from you guys. How has this changed for you? Do you think it's going to last? John, why don't we start with you?
So yeah, it's changed. It's changed for me in quite different ways. I think I mentioned in episodes before that with my daughter living primarily with her mom, I thought I was going to see her less because of the pandemic and the shutdown that we had in Ohio. But that actually was not the case. The pandemic actually brought us closer. We have spent more time together running outdoors. She is spending weeks at end here with me. So it's actually brought us closer together. And because we're home, we're consuming a lot of TV, a lot of news. And so, we're seeing everything that's going on in the world, trying to keep up with what's going on globally with the pandemic. And we're seeing all of the news about racial injustice, social injustice. And so we're having discussions about that, topics that we've never really discussed before in the past. And recently, we've just been having discussions because she's 19. I can't shelter her in place. She's an adult. She has a job. She goes to school. She has clinicals. So she's coming and going. But I also know that she's exposing herself to people and persons, and then coming home and being in contact with her mom, her grandfather, and her friends and that. So, we're having conversations about that as well. So it's changed on many aspects. I know a friend of mine, we just had a discussion yesterday because his teenage son is just coming and going and living his best life. And that's upsetting him a lot, to the point where he was like, look, if you're going to live here, I don't want to ground you. But, if you want to live this lifestyle where you're going from party to party, you might want to find another place to stay because I don't know if you can be bringing this threat back into the home. So, yeah, I mean, it's really changed. We talked about how it's changed, how we approach fatherhood. So it has changed.
That's right. Jose, how are you doing over there?
Well, you see me with the mask, right? I mean,
that's right.
I mean, you got to wear this in California. I mean, the threat is real.
Yeah.
You got my 83-year-old mom, but the reality is, we're still dads. We're still doing our thing, and I think I've always been connected to my boys. I've always done everything I could for them. So it's a new reality. It's where we're at. I mean, this isn't going away. I don't care what people think or say about, the virus and politics and this and that. We just got to work through it. We just got to work through it collectively. It's all we have left, man, is to work through it together. It's all we got.
Michael, I look to you, man. How's it changed with you being a father, but also how you handle work too? I think we have a lot in common there as far as the workaholism goes, and how we manage, the kids coming in the room, and how we get our work done.
Yeah. So I don't know if I've been successful, to be honest. It's been a struggle, and the one thing that I can say coming out of all this, I've been fortunate where my wife has chosen to stay home with the kids. Addison is 3.5, Grayson is 2.5 now, and that's been great. And I've always been the one that's just kind of gone out and worked the hours needed to get the job done. But I've gotten a firsthand reflection on all that goes into making this work here at home, and I don't know how she does it, to be honest. Like, I mean, it is something that has given me a lot of perspective and cause for pause, and I gotta do better supporting around the house and not just making assumptions about how things get done. So that's one piece. And then from the sake of work has been completely redefined, right? I mean, now we're trying to restart, and as Jose said, the virus is real. It's out there, and now the expectations of restarting with either a hybrid or kids coming back, or I was just reading parent surveys today. There's a large contingency of our families that are like, no, like, we're not sure about this, and I'm not a health professional, right? I can't ease people's minds. I can say, everything that I've read and what health commissioners have said, and that's kind of been back and forth. So I guess where I'm at from a work standpoint and balancing during this pandemic is, still trying to keep in mind, like, yeah, people are going to struggle with decisions that we make. There aren't, unfortunately, any right decisions at this point. But I was just online with our preschool because Addison is potentially about to enter her first go around of preschool, and I spent my wife and I spent 30 minutes talking to the director, and he didn't sound confident about opening. He said, "Take as much time as you need. Your seats will be safe here." Regarding, like, if you don't want to start her right now, wait it out a bit. So I think we're all in that place, and from a work standpoint, I think we're afraid to just say, "Yeah, we're not comfortable with this," because as the leaders, we're supposed to be advocating to get kids back into the brick and mortar and face to face, because that's so important. It's what we've done. I'm struggling personally, guys. I really am, from a father standpoint, and from I'm an assistant superintendent, right? So from that standpoint, I'm a principal, I'm a teacher. I'm all these pieces that I've been throughout my whole career, and I'm struggling on all fronts. So I guess that's a big, long answer, Tim, to a really simple question. I'm just struggling in all regards.
No, I mean, I think everyone's dealing with the same thing, Michael, but you have the double-edged sword there. I mean, you guys are in the hot seat where, this is normally the time of year when parents are going on vacation. Maybe they start buying back to school stuff in August. Everything's so up in the air now. I can tell you that as we see more states like California close down again, Carrie and me went back into Papa and Mama mode over the week, where Massachusetts props itself up as being okay, but cases are actually going up, and we don't want to be flat-footed and wait till mid-August to make a decision. And protecting my kids for me is providing stability. It's not just grabbing them and coddling them. It's making sure they have consistency. I got a couple of boys too with ADHD. They're on IEPs, especially my oldest one. Structure is very important for him. And so we set it up where we want, we're looking into things like a learning pod with our 5 boys and getting someone. So sooner than later, we can say, hey, here's the deal, guys. this is the plan. You're going to be doing virtual, and here's how you're going to do it. And just try to set up just so they can feel safe and know what to expect. Because I think all the parents I talk to, that's what's keeping me up at night, the uncertainty. We might have it, we might do virtual. I don't know.
Well, the flu season's coming.
Yeah.
That's October to February. So then
Yep.
now, what people don't understand is employees
Yep.
will be the ones that are now going to be bullying each other. And he's coughing, but he's got just the flu he's getting over.
Yep.
Well, check it out, John. You got coronavirus.
Yep.
So you better back up. And so now, and then I can be protected by federal law to stay at home because my BMI is high. And guess what? Because he runs every day, he's gonna have to stay at work, and I'm at home chilling, working from there.
Mm-hmm.
So what we don't understand is we got to talk about our employees first before we can even get to the students.
Yep.
The amount of trauma that we're gonna have amongst each other, it's gonna be crazy. And the way that the states are pitting ourselves against each other, district to district, that's another thing. So I applaud our governor saying, hey, slow it down. Here's some more parameters. Because, we're now competing for students. We're competing for all kinds of things when it doesn't have to be that way.
Yep.
So as dads, with my two sons, man, I was going to keep them at home anyway.
Yeah.
I don't want them infecting my 83-year-old mother.
Nope.
And it's not because their fault. It's just because they're kids.
Yeah. What do you think of that?
I just I worry about that too. I've had a few staff meetings, and 50% of our staff, well, a little bit more than 50% of our staff have vulnerable people that they go home to. There's a few of them that are worried about losing their classrooms and not being able to interact with kids and their colleagues. So it's uncertain times. We're all looking for answers together, and that's what I keep stressing. We approach everything as a family at the workplace, and so we want to keep it where we're supporting each other. We have empathy for each other, and we show tolerance and understanding when it comes to those sorts of things. But Michael, I have a question for you, because you talked about, and I have worked with you for 15 plus years, so I know your grind, I know your work ethic. And you talked about how working from home has given you a different perspective of what Megan deals with on a day-to-day basis behind the scenes when you're out there with those 12, 14-hour days. Is that perspective the same for her as well? Like, is she noticing like your grind, what you're doing outside the home, now that she's witnessing it within your guys' four walls? You guys have that discussion? Does she bring that up at all?
Yeah, I think she sees it, and I know she does. But at the same time, the conversation that we need to have is like, at the end of the day, though, who's gonna be affected by all those hours more, or if something were to happen to me and I'm not, because of all those hours, or any, to me, that's where I'm at right now, and that's what the struggle is, right? So, I posed this question. It's like, how can I be great at both? Because it feels like something's got to give at some point. And I don't know, I've been battling, is it more efficient with my time? Is it, can you just turn this off? And I haven't figured it out yet, to be honest. I know what I've been, and I don't want to be that because, the circumstances were different then, but it wasn't right then. So I guess that's to answer your question. Like, yeah, she understands, but this is the family, right? And at the end of the day, these three in this house is what I have, right? And if they're not right, it doesn't matter how quality of an employee I am. I don't want to be 80 years old and have the regrets. Like, yeah, I worked all those hours and it was great, and we made it, X amount of dollars, and yeah, we supported. But at the end of the day, my kids don't know me, or my wife has felt distance from me, and that's not cool. So I got to figure it out and be better. So I'm putting myself out there. We talk about these being like little mini therapy sessions, like I feel like right now. It's tough on top of a pandemic that's going on right now. Trying to make sure that people are are safe, that we're safe. But then, our parents who are out working because they have to, and just everything. It's a real struggle. I took 3 days off this week, and it was the hardest 3 days of my. Well, I mean, it was really tough. Like I should have been enjoying it, and I did. Don't get me wrong. Like I really had fun with the kids, and but it was tough. Not coming back to this or feeling as though like I couldn't take those days because we don't have an official plan out yet. And what are you doing taking days? If I didn't, it would have been worse for all involved too. Yeah. So
and we saw the pictures, Michael. It looks like they were pretty happy you took those days off.
Yeah, it was a blast.
Right.
And that's why I shared those because to me that was it was one of those things that I just had to do. It kind of worked out. We were still finishing up some surveys from a district standpoint, and so while those were going on, it was kind of a lull period, right? Because we're not trying to make a plan without being informed by our families. So there was a little bit of breathing room there, so I took it. But 101 different things came up. Like I looked at my email today, I'm like, yeah, Monday's gonna be real. But those are the type of choices moving forward that I just have to be resolved in making and know that there's confidence in the team, right? That you're only as good as the team that you surround yourselves with to pick it up when we all have to disconnect. And that's what happened. Honestly, some people picked up some things for me and things kept moving. And that was what my boss said. Like the world will continue without you. You're not all that. And I was like, thank you. But yeah.
That's right.
So we're talking about parenting, and Mike, my dad used to give me some advice as a young professional, and he used to tell me, you can't take care what you need to take care of in your professional life if you're not taking care of what you need to and prioritizing the right things in your personal life. So keep that in mind. And it sounded like you took 3 days to take care of what was very important in your personal life, and keep that in mind.
Will do. And my kids just dropped this off to me, so it must mean something.
You know, you're doing something, right, man.
I'll take it.
So it just seems to me like I've started to look at my family over the last 4 months as like this village, almost like this village that's tightening. I got 2 villages now. I got the work village and I got the family village. And I feel like I'm the Papa Bear, and then at the same time, I'm trying to protect my employees too, to make sure they're safe. Like I don't let anyone come into the office if someone else is there, because I don't want them to have contact. When they've asked about reopening the office, I'm like, hell no, it's not happening. I check up on them to make sure they're getting some fresh air and get out. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of having 2 villages now? And is that different than what was like before the pandemic, or is it just increased? Is it emphasized now? Because you're all leaders in your field, so.
Well, I would say, my challenge is we got my APs are coming in this week and showing up, and I've had meetings in my office. I show up every day at 8 in the morning. I got a mask on.
Yep.
I bought an air filter, so I got a filter that I'm going to use in my office, and I expect the teams are starting to roll in.
Yep.
So, and I'm doing home visits on Monday.
Nice.
So, because the reason I'm out here is to try to get used to the new normal.
Mm-hmm.
We went through our spike in California, San Diego County. So we just got to normalize this now in a way that's uncomfortable for me. Trust me, I don't want to be out here.
No.
It's uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, I got to find a way to normalize it. So then when I have employees that I'm managing and supporting and community members, I gotta forge the front in some way. And that's the pressure that I feel in this village that I have of this community that I'm in now. And that's really what I felt the last few months anyway in my prior work. So man, I worry about them all the time. I had people shake my hand and because they don't understand. They're still trying to learn and wrap their minds around it. Just because my mind's wrapped around it, this coronavirus, others are still trying to get there.
Yep.
So it's just my job to coach them up along the way. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I agree with Jose. I've been holding voluntary staff meetings via Zoom. And when staff members do log on, I'm very intentional about not getting too personal, but just asking details about their day-to-day life, you know, what they're going through, what their family's going through, because I want the other staff members to hear, like, yeah, you know, I have a daughter that is medically fragile that I come home to that I take care of. You know, like Jose, you know, I have a staff member who has an elderly parent that lives with them. I want other staff members to hear those personal stories so that they can understand that throughout the year, there might be times, like Mike said, where one of us might have to pick up a little bit extra weight to carry for somebody else. And I think when you're picking up that weight and you understand, like, okay, I'm going to do a little extra because I know that my friend and colleague has to go home, elderly parent or a child that's medically fragile. Yeah. So I encourage those stories. And the agendas are informal. It's just for people to get to know each other's reality so that, you know, if and when we do come back and those situations rise, people know the why behind our actions.
That's it. How about you, Michael?
Yeah, I definitely believe in the multiple village concept. You know, and I guess that's the biggest struggle, hearing everyone talk about, you know, the safety and knowing each other and building trust through, right, having these open dialogue pieces and learning from each other's concerns. At some point, you know, every village has, you know, different leaders within that village, right? And making the tough decisions sometimes to keep that village safe can be the unpopular. And that is, I'll go back to the struggle. As I sit in, you know, and I've been the one person that has been like locked down. You talk about my family locked down, like we have not, and I refused to even say early on new normal, because I was like, there's nothing normal about any of this. And now I'm trying to shift a little bit to what Jose said, but at the same time, I don't know if I'm ready. Like, as a leader of a school district, I don't know if I'm ready to say, like, yep, you know, the hybrid is the way we should go. We're going to bring kids in because heaven forbid, right? We're going to bring staff in. What, buddy? You're lucky you're cute, man. Oh, I couldn't get him. He's off. But yeah, though, I mean, it is tough knowing that, you know, one thing if it was one village and my four, like, it was easy to kind of say, all right, this is what we're going to do. No one's coming in. Now we're comfortable with letting our grandparents in, right? You know, that's been a little bit, you know, the neighborhood kids, okay, you know, they've kind of learned to social distance play and wash hands, but that's something it's small I could control. But now when you talk about the village of a staff, a village of a school district, yeah, we're talking about thousands and thousands of people, right, that we're responsible for keeping safe. And man, we need each other. So come back to that point, like, now we have to collectively lean on each other. So the approach that we've been taking is, let's listen and learn and then lead, right? That's been the mantra: listen, learn, lead. So we're going to listen to what concerns are. We're going to learn from that, and then, you know, collaborate and lead together, and knowing that there is no right answer. There absolutely is no right answer when it comes to the restart of schools, or, you know, the economy. As it's playing out right in front of our eyes, right? Every day I'm watching CNN and Fox and et cetera, to hear the multiple sides of things. So from even a bigger village standpoint, without true leadership, you're gonna get like this just mass hysteria, and that's where we are as a nation right now. And I'm not trying to be political by any stretch, but my goodness, you know, I was talking to our athletic director the other day, and, you know, leadership matters. Like, you know, what are our priorities? Our priorities should be safety. But if you were to ask other people, that's not the perceived priority. So I don't know, the village needs to do better.
I feel like people are going to be coming back with trauma, almost recovering from trauma. And Jose, you mentioned something that was bugging me all week, and I didn't follow up on the question enough. You had talked about the real battle starts, I think it was when we get back to school or when the fall comes. Do you remember that? What'd you mean by that? I was kicking myself all week because I didn't like the way I followed up on it.
You mean in terms of like with each other?
Yeah, with each other. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, just go back. I think John made a comment about it a few shows ago,
Yeah.
you know, about how we're going to treat each other as leaders.
Yeah.
And the battle starts with how we're, you know, like I mentioned earlier, just employee to employee,
Yeah.
and how we're going to engage together. Man, the psychology of the trauma that we're about to return to.
Yeah.
Oh, and the other part too, that's what it was, Tim, is we're all sitting at home watching a rectangular or square box, whether it's our phone or TV. Some are cued into liberal news, some are cued into conservative news.
Yeah.
And they've been fed this information for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And the work's going to begin when they all have to sit and eat together on one campus with one mascot on their back, but having idealisms that they've now heard. And I've been watching TikTok, man, with these kids, and I've been seeing them fight back with their parents about, you know, growing up conservative and fighting back to be liberal or vice versa, or, you know, whatever it is. And they're starting to create their own narrative. So I think student activism, I'm going to encourage in my place. I'm going to set up parameters for them to speak their truth in a safe place. But we got to be ready for some sort of feelings getting hurt from each other and a mini revolution.
Yeah.
And then we got to check in on our stuff too as adults. But I'm going to encourage student activism for sure. That's definitely where the work begins.
That's right. Guys, so what do you think? I think the whole question is, can we go back to what, can we return to, say they came out with the vaccine tomorrow, okay? Everyone gets a vaccine, coronavirus is gone. Can we go back to the way things were before? As not just as teachers and leaders, but as fathers either. You know, I think of going back to work. Me and Carrie talk about this all the time. When she hired me, man, I was wearing like a nice button-down dress shirt and pants. Jesus, I don't think I haven't worn those shirts in months. You know, just little things like that. Can we go back to the way things used to be? Michael, what do you think?
Nope. I'll keep it short and sweet there. Nope. There's so many things that have been magnified during this time. Whether we're talking about, you know, the expectations of employees, like I've learned how much, I knew how much teachers put in, but I'm hearing it now, and how difficult it's been for myself, for those that I work closely with. Like, we've got to be better in regards to that. But then also, you know, we've done some things from a school standpoint with the outreach and the care for families. Like, the outreach was better during this pandemic than it was before. We better not go back to just caring about folks when they show up, and getting to know people at a different level is important. So no, we can't go back just on those 2 regards alone. And then for me personally, like this time I've had with my kids, man, it's been invaluable. Like I've loved it, and I want to make sure that I do that moving forward. Even if when I do go back to work, like when I come home, like it's got to be all about them. I've got to make up for those hours that I missed providing, which is necessary. But man, when I'm here, like it's got to be them and my wife and nothing else. And that wasn't always the case.
I think the first episode we had, we talked about that. We said, what's something we do now that we didn't do before? And I think it was that matter of just sitting down for like 15 minutes. I think I was talking something about Minecraft or something like that. Or going on looking for Pokemon on the street. Like, they've come to expect that now. They've come to enjoy that. John and Jose, how about you guys? Can we go back to normal?
Yeah, to Mike's point, I really don't want to go back to normal. Like he said, there's so many things that have been magnified throughout these last 4 months that, you know, I don't want us to just pick up the ball and just go back to normal as we knew it prior to the pandemic. And I talk to my daughter about that all the time. You know, I look at my father's generation, you know, being in the Vietnam War and Korean War and just everything that they've been through. I always looked at their generation as the greatest generation. You know, they went through so much, the Great Depression, all of that. And, you know, I talk to her and I tell her, like, it's time for your generation to do something similar. You know, like Mike said, you know, you listen, you learn, and then you lead. And I hope this younger generation is listening, they're hearing, They're learning, and I hope they're ready to come out of this and lead into a different path. I think we need that now more than ever. So when I hear leaders like Jose saying that he's going to set up parameters for that student agency, that student voice to be heard, and for them to have an opportunity to lead, that excites me. That excites me, and I'm crazy excited to hear how it goes when it gets started, Jose.
Jose, how about you, man?
Yeah, I appreciate it. You know, we have to normalize what's happening right now. I don't want to go back to normal. I want to normalize racial discussions.
Yep.
I want to normalize that. That's what I want to normalize. I want to normalize the fact that we need to talk about race on a daily. You know, we need to see color. When we say colorblind, we got to knock that off.
Yep.
We got to appreciate each other's stories. I mean, that's what we need to normalize. Going back to normal? No, I don't want to do that.
Yep.
I don't go back to the way I felt, you know, back then, that I realized I felt in a box, that I put myself in a box. So finding my voice has been powerful, and doing that in conjunction with Alas, the group that I was part of, you know, let's normalize what's going on right now. Let's shape a new path in our communities. And that's what we got to do, man.
Nice. Yeah. I can't imagine, not that I was a bad parent, but I can't imagine going back to the parent I was before the pandemic. You know, I think I'm still a workaholic, but I'm better with it, balancing that. You know, Jose, I'm glad you talked about talking about race. Because I'm so closed in with my kids, I've had to mature as a father and speed things up by a few years, you know, especially with what's gone on over the summer, you know, and that's a conversation I had to have with my boys. I think I told you a couple weeks ago about race and white privilege and how they have it. And, you know, it definitely made me grow as a father more because of this. And hopefully, you know, my kids learn things a couple years early than they should have. But I can't imagine backtracking on that when they fix this. You know, I think the biggest thing it's also come out of this pandemic for me is talking to other parents. And, you know, I always talk about, if I didn't go to the park for a couple of weeks, I would diagnose my kids with everything under the sun. I'd break out that DSM-4 book and I'd be like, Jesus, these kids are screwed up. And I'm the worst parent ever. And then I go to the park after a couple of weeks and I realize every kid sucks. And we're all screwing up our kids and everything's fine. You know, it's not, they're just being kids. And talking to parents like this has made me realize the benefit of that. So I'm going to close with this, guys, with the question for you. Really, really deep stuff. We had a show yesterday. We were talking to Christy Joyce. She's a delegate of ours from Missouri. And it was so good for me because she is so professional, so put together. And all we did was talk about for an hour of how this sucks and how she's breaking down and we're breaking down. And once a week we lose it. And it made us both feel good, you know, because we're both not crazy. She talked about, you know, what's good for her kids and, you know, causing least amount of trauma to her kids as possible. And just sometimes you just got to suck it up and have a yes day. And if they want to wake up at 2 a.m. and have a piece of chocolate cake, you know what, God, let them have a piece of chocolate cake. If they want to play Minecraft with their cousins in California for 8 hours, let them play it. Who the hell cares at this point? So I'm going to go around here. I'm going to start with Jose here. Jose, you wake up at 2 a.m. You're really hungry. You go down to the fridge. What are you cooking, buddy?
Oh, wow. What am I cooking? I'm popping a bag of chips open and not feel guilty about it at all. No, I'm just kidding. No, actually, what I'm doing is this, I'm walking down to the refrigerator. I'm going to look over. My kid's still up, who's in 8th grade, till 2 a.m. playing video games. My other one just went to bed at midnight because I'm, like you said, I'm letting them loose, man.
Yep.
My kids, I'm letting them all loose. So you look at me, I am not father of the year. I wouldn't get that little badge right now. Maybe they would, but any other parent would look at me and say, I'm cuckoo right here. But I'm just letting them play, man. Let them live, you know. And there's structures. We still got to work out, do our things. But I say what I'm cooking probably is, a bagel and cream cheese right now. Keep it light and simple.
Nice. John, you're the healthiest guy on the show. What are you eating, man?
Well, I'll tell you what, anything with bacon. Anything with bacon.
Oh, that's nice,
BLT, bacon cheeseburger, just bacon by itself, plate full of bacon, anything with bacon.
Nice. Try it. I've been making a tuna melt with bacon lately. Give it a try.
All right.
Michael, how about you, buddy?
It's ice cream. I'm not making it.
Nice.
Might make a milkshake, but ice cream is the weakness.
What kind
I don't know if that's just to 2:00 in the morning, but unfortunately, I've lived that though, right? So yesterday, my 2:00 was leftover pizza that we had the night before. So I was up at 2:00 thinking about all the stuff that we were talking about today. But yeah. So
Nice. Well, for me, it's going to be, I don't know if you guys have Wegmans where you are. We're going to take a supermarket. Holy cow. I've been microwaving their quesadillas for years. I actually put them in the oven the other day. They were incredible.
changer.
They were incredible. That's what I'm getting.
Nice.
Well, guys, thanks for ending it on a deep note. Everyone watching today, thanks for joining us. Lighten up on yourselves. We're doing the best we can. That's not just the dads, that's the moms too. To the moms, give us a break. And turn into all of our other shows. And guys, have a great weekend. Enjoy the beach. Enjoy time.
Live it up, Jose. My goodness.
What's up, Cali Town? Let's go, San Diego.
Have a nice day, guys. Take care, everyone.
Same, you too.
All right, you guys take care.